Now, this next story is actually something that I was waiting to get involved in or to touch on because it's been developing. The topic is really Epic Games versus Apple. And if you're unaware of the events, essentially Fortnite has been removed from Apple Store because Epic Games essentially went around the Apple Store's rules and policies. They pretty much defied everything. There's a big lawsuit. The companies are accusing one another, like anti-competitive actions. We're just going to go ahead and dive into this. I'll give a whole recap right now. Apple has faced increasing scrutiny over its App Store practices from both developers and regulators this year. One particular vocal critic has been the Fortnite creator Epic Games. They've repeatedly referred to the App Store as a monopoly. In August 2020, Apple removed Fortnite from the App Store after Epic Games introduced a direct payment option in the app for its in-game currency V-Bucks, defying the App Store rules. In what appears to have been an orchestrated move, Epic Games promptly filed a lawsuit against Apple, accusing the company of anti-competitive actions. Mac Rumors put together a timeline or a series of events of essentially how all of this came to be. So how did we get here? In June 16th, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney tells the Washington Post that, quote, the iOS App Store is a monopoly and it protects only Apple profit, not device security. Sweeney quotes tweets the Washington Post story. Here Apple speaks of a level playing field. To me, this means all iOS developers are free to process payments directly. All users are free to install software from any source. In this endeavor, Epic won't seek nor accept a special deal just for ourselves. It goes on. About a week later, June 23rd, Sweeney tweets, opening iOS and Android up as a truly open platform with a genuinely level playing field between first-party and third-party apps and stores is the only way to ensure a competitive, healthy, and fair app economy. About a month later, July 24th, Sweeney tells CNBC that the App Store is an absolute monopoly, arguing that Apple has locked down and crippled the ecosystem by inventing an absolute monopoly on the distribution of software, on the monetization of software. 4 days later, Sweeney tweets again, it pains me to complain about Apple in this way. Apple is one of the greatest companies that has ever existed, perhaps the greatest, but they're fundamentally wrong in blocking competition and choice on devices they make, and that holds up entire fields of technological progress. Sweeney tweets, this is a critical consideration in these 30% store fees. They come off the top before funding any developer costs. As a result, Apple and Google make more profit from most developers' games than the developers themselves. That is terribly unfair and exploitive. But essentially what's going on here is Sweeney is really upset with how much the store fees actually cost to host the apps on their devices. A couple of days later, August 1st, Sweeney tweets, Apple's intentional anti-competitive strategy has been running for much longer than most realize. Here they are in 2011, muscling Kindle purchases off of iPhone by demanding 30% of ebook revenue, which we acknowledge is prohibitive for many things. Now, this is where we get into the lawsuit. Nearly 2 weeks later, August 13th, Epic Games introduces a direct payment option in the Fortnite app for iPhone and iPad, allowing players to purchase in-game V-Bucks at 20% discount by sidestepping Apple's in-app purchase mechanism. This functionality violates Apple's App Store review guidelines, which indicates that apps offering in-game currency must use Apple's in-app purchase mechanism only. The direct payment option is also added to the Fortnite app on Android in violation of Google's Play Store rules. Epic Games then describes Apple's and Google's 30% cut on in-app purchases as exorbitant. Epic also notes that apps that offer real-life goods and services like Uber, DoorDash, and StubHub are not required to use Apple's in-app purchase mechanism, a rule that is believed should apply to all developers. Literally that day, Apple removes Fortnite from the App Store. In a statement shared with Mac Rumors, the company said that Epic Games took the unfortunate step of violating the App Store guidelines that are applied equally to every developer and designed to keep the store safe for our users. The full statement is as follows. Today, Epic Games took the unfortunate step of violating the App Store guidelines that are applied equally to every developer and designed to keep the store safe for our users. As a result, their Fortnite app has been removed from the store. Epic enabled a feature in its app which has not been reviewed or approved by Apple, and they did so with the express intent of violating the App Store guidelines regarding in-app payments that apply to every developer who sells digital goods or services. Apple has had apps on the App Store for a decade and have benefited from the App Store ecosystem, including its tools, testing, and distribution that Apple provides to all developers. Epic agreed to App Store terms and guidelines freely, and we are glad they built such a successful business on the App Store. The fact that their business interests now lead them to push for special arrangements does not change the fact that these guidelines create a level playing field for all developers and make the store safe for all users. We will make every effort to work with Epic to resolve these violations so they can return Fortnite to the App Store. Promptly after this, Epic Games files a lawsuit against Apple in California describing the company as a monopoly power and accusing of unfair and anti-competitive actions. The complaint alleges that Apple has become what it once rallied against: the behemoth seeking to control markets, block competition, and stifle innovation. And Epic Games shared a video called 1980 Fortnite, and it's parroting Apple's iconic 1984 ad. Whereas Apple's ad betrayed IBM as the evil big brother, Epic Games to show that Apple is now the dominant power. Epic Games has defied the App Store monopoly. In retaliation, Apple is blocking Fortnite from 1 billion devices. Join the fight to stop 2020 from becoming 1984. And if you thought that was crazy, it just continues to get out of control just on this day. Apple encouraged Fortnite players to fight against Apple's app tax by using the hashtag #FreeFortnite on all social platforms. In an FAQ, Epic says that all mobile developers and consumers have the right to choose alternate payment providers that charge less, as is the norm on all general-purpose computing platforms, including web, Windows, and Mac. Epic adds that Apple even allows Amazon Prime Video to process payments directly as a special deal while holding other apps to a different standard. Spotify ends up siding with Epic Games. Google removes Fortnite from the Play Store. Epic Games also files a similar anti-competitive lawsuit against Google. And then Sweeney comes out and he tweets, "Today, Apple said Epic is seeking a special deal, but that's not true. We're fighting for open platforms and policy changes equally benefiting all developers, and it'll be a hell of a fight." And this all happened essentially on August 13th. It continues going back and forth with Apple execs and Epic Game execs basically just throwing shade at each other. Epic Games, for example, a couple of days later ended up saying that their development program for Apple would be terminated, and this would prevent them from having any access to Apple software, so like SDKs, APIs, and developer tools. And without this access, Apple couldn't even be on iOS or Mac OS because the Unreal Engine wouldn't work on it. Epic Games also announced that they were going to be doing a #Free Fortnite Cup tournament the next week. You have several court filings coming out that argues that Apple's plan to terminate its development program membership could be overbroad retaliation and an unlawful effort to maintain its monopoly and chill any action by others who might dare oppose Apple. Microsoft ends up filing a declaration in support of Epic Games, in which Xbox gaming executive Kevin Gamble writes that Apple's discontinuation of Epic's ability to develop and support Unreal Engine for iOS and macOS will harm game creators and gamers. Now keep in mind, Unreal Engine is used by many other developers, not just Epic Games. So this would affect a lot of people. Subsequently, due to the blocking of Epic Games Unreal Engine, a U.S. judge granted temporary restraining order that will prevent Apple from blocking Epic Games' access to development tools for its Unreal Engine. But as of now, she is not forcing Apple to put Fortnite back on the App Store. The restraining order goes into effect immediately and will remain in force until the court issues a final order on the motion or preliminary injunction in September. Things start heating up around early September. Epic Games ended up filing a preliminary injunction that would both allow Fortnite back on the App Store and restore access to its development account. September 8th, Apple countersues Epic Games requesting damages for breach of contract. In its answer, Apple describes Epic Games as a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that simply wants to pay nothing for a tremendous value it derives from the App Store. The following day, Epic Games announces that Apple will no longer allow users to sign into Epic Games accounts using Sign-in with Apple as soon as September 11th. September 10th comes around, and Epic says that Apple had provided an indefinite extension to sign in with Apple support, but Epic still encourages users to transition their accounts to alternative credentials in case Apple does disable the feature at some point in the future. Nearly 2 weeks later, the same judge as before recommends that Apple and Epic Games consider a jury trial around July 2021. And then the following day, September 29th, Apple and Epic Games agree that Epic's claims and Apple's counterclaims should be tried by the court with a bench trial rather than a trial jury. Alright, so I'm sure you're wondering, where the heck are we now? As of last week, we found out that Epic Games and Apple will go to court. Their court date is set for May 3rd, 2021, as of now. And we have no idea whether or not it's going to be held in person or virtually or some combination of both because of what's going on with the pandemic right now. But we'll find out a little bit more information later on. But to recap here, this is a very calculated plan by Sweeney at Epic Games for what they wanted to do against Apple. They're sick and tired of Apple and Google taking a 30% cut of all the money that they're making on their platforms. And everything leading up into this event is 100% calculated by Epic Games. I mean, just the constant tweets by Sweeney basically attacking Apple beforehand, months leading up to this. Then you just have one day where they do a runaround to avoid the extra charges on both Google and Apple, and simultaneously announce on Twitter that you can do it, and release a 1984 parody to insult Apple and basically say, yeah, middle fingers up. We don't care anymore, man. Come and fight us. So that's all the information we have on this. Epic Games versus Apple so far. And this is definitely going to be a developing story that we're going to keep pretty close attention to for the coming months. It's not over. I'm sure Sweeney's Twitter is going to be straight fuego from now on, and him insulting Apple and Google simultaneously is going to be very interesting. Which side are you guys on? Are you on Apple's side or are you on Epic Games' side? How do you feel about it as a consumer? If you're a developer, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well.